Hey everyone, I decided to rewatch Spider-Man 3, and you know what? To my surprise, I found that a lot of the criticism it has received over the years doesn't make much sense. Sure, it's easy to bash that one pretty silly dance scene, and honestly, I have done it myself in the past. But the real problem with Spider-Man 3 isn't there at all. In fact, if you compare it to the fun musical montage from Spider-Man 2, you might even see a bit of the director's idea, but let's not get into that right now. When I finished watching Spider-Man 3, just like with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I felt a bit of sadness. Both of these movies had the potential to be some of the most interesting and deep Spider-Man films, but instead, they ended up being the biggest disappointments in the series. Today though, we are going to talk about Spider-Man 3. I have identified a few key points in the script that, if changed, could have made the film significantly better. Let's start with the most obvious one, something right in front of us that the creators inexplicably chose not to use. Harry should have been the main villain of the trickball. Both of the previous films set up Harry to become the new Green Goblin. The story of Peter, Harry and Mary Jane developed in such a way that by the third movie, a conflict between them was inevitable. Harry and Peter were both in love with Mary Jane. She was Harry's girlfriend at first, but ultimately she left him for Peter. Peter was Harry's best friend, but because Peter took pictures of Spider-Man, who Harry believed killed his father, Peter went from being a friend to a traitor in Harry's eyes. And then Harry discovers that Peter is Spider-Man, meaning he thinks Peter is his father's killer. Just look at how much personal conflict is built into these characters' relationships. As we all know, the best conflicts are the ones that are personal, because they're more understandable and engaging for the audience. They clearly see what the characters are fighting for and why it matters to them. Moreover, it's strange that after spending 2 movies building up Harry's transformation into a villain, in the third movie, when you would expect him to fully emerge as the main antagonist, he is reduced to just one of several villains, and then doesn't even stay a villain. Also, let's not forget the movie's central theme of forgiveness. In the original film's finale, all the characters forgive each other, but if Harry had been the main villain, that final moment would have been much more impactful. And yes, the ending itself would have been different, but we will talk about that a bit later. I have to say that each of Spider-Man's trilogy films was a standalone piece, but they also shared a common storyline thread, the Osborns versus Peter Parker. Raimi makes it clear, not only with Norman Osborn's presence in each film, but also with Harry's development towards becoming the new Green Goblin throughout the trilogy. Harry's story across the 3 films feels like a classic 3-act narrative with a setup, confrontation and resolution. However, in the end, they decided to take a different road, which is really sad. Let's continue with the topic of villains. Yes, the sheer number of them in Spider-Man 3 meant that none of them were fully developed. But if we had to choose one villain to cut, change or save for a future film, it should definitely be Venom. Why Venom? Let's flip the question. Why not Venom? As we have already established, Harry not only needed more screen time, but should have been the main villain of the third movie, as the entire trilogy led up to this. There was already a strong personal conflict between him, Peter and Mary Jane at the beginning of the third movie, and resolving their conflict aligned with the movie's central theme. Now let's talk about Sandman. He also deserved a significant role, although he wasn't developed across all 3 films. The writers took a clever, albeit lazy road by making Flint Marko Uncle Ben's killer. They conveniently provided Peter with a personal motivation. Despite being a bit of a shortcut, it actually works. In this movie, Peter Parker needed to experience a fall from grace. He was supposed to betray one of his core principles, not killing criminals. The symbiote suit amplifies his host's aggression, making it plausible that Peter might attempt to kill a villain, as seen in the comics and animated series. When the criminal is revealed as Uncle Ben's killer, Peter gains a strong personal and emotional drive to take him down. This combines Peter's personal emotional motivation with the influence of the black suit, creating a powerful narrative. So, in this sense, the writers made a pretty solid move. And let's not forget, Sandman isn't just some one-dimensional character looking to rob banks and get rich. He is driven by a personal motivation to save his sick daughter, and Spider-Man stands in his way. In my last video, I discussed the director's cut of Spider-Man 3, where I covered all the deleted scenes. There is one fantastic scene with Sandman that really supports my point. Here is the key part of that scene.
I swear to you, he won't stop me again.
The most important thing is that both Sandman and Spider-Man have personal stakes against each other, so we already have 2 villains, each personally connected to Spider-Man, and each fitting perfectly into the story of Dark Peter Parker and the film's central theme of forgiveness. Honestly, the movie should have stopped at these two villains, but the studio insisted on adding another one. And which one did they choose? Venom. The main issue with Venom in Spider-Man 3 isn't Topher Grace or the symbiote's appearance, but the fact that he simply doesn't belong in this film. Let's start by talking about Venom as a character. Initially, Eddie Brock is a punching bag, the guy Peter Parker ends up taking everything away from. The symbiote, on the other hand, loses its host and, in a way, its life, when Spider-Man separates from it. When Brock merges with the symbiote, you get a blend of their mutual hatred. Eddie's for Peter Parker and the symbiote's for Spider-Man. The coolest thing about Venom is that he knows Peter's secret identity. This makes him a unique enemy, one who holds an immense grudge and knows everything about our hero. Now, does such a villain deserve just 20 minutes in the final act? Should such a villain be one of three? Venom isn't a character you can just throw in for a couple of minutes. He deserves much more. Even within the context of the movie, he feels unnecessary. You already have Harry, filled with hatred and blindly seeking Peter's death. Then there is Sandman, who Peter vents his anger on while under the symbiote's influence. So what about Eddie? He blindly wants to avenge Peter, mirroring Harry's actions. Eddie is just another victim of Peter's anger under the symbiote's influence, just like Sandman. The problem with Venom is that he doesn't bring anything new to the movie. He is just a mix of the other two villains. So why is he needed? Venom is supposed to reflect Dark Peter Parker, but isn't that role already filled by Harry? Look at this. Peter wants to avenge the man who killed his father. Yeah, you heard it right.
I have a father. His name was Ben Parker.
And what drives Harry?
Peter, you killed my father.
Exactly. Venom is completely redundant in this film, because his roles are already taken. He just doesn't fit. Venom should have been saved for the fourth movie, or better yet, Harry should have become Venom. Yeah, you heard me right. Think about it. As I have said, Venom embodies hatred. Who has the most personal hatred towards Peter in this film? Harry. The symbiote would have just amplified Harry's rage, blinding him even more. Harry as Venom would have felt much more organic and natural within the movie's context. Venom wouldn't have felt unnecessary. Instead, he would have enhanced Harry's character. Plus, Sonic would still have sold toys of three villains while having just two in the movie, resulting in a better written script. Continuing with the topic of villains, yeah, Spider-Man 3 has major issues with its villains. Now let's talk about the final battle. Some of you might say this is nitpicking, but I don't entirely agree. While it may not be fundamentally crucial, the final battle is the culmination of the entire trilogy, so its execution matters a lot. You might ask, what's the problem with the final battle in Spider-Man 3? From a staging and action standpoint, it's great, but emotionally, it falls short. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of emotional moments that still give me chills, even after many years. However, there is a big problem with the final battle, the presence of onlookers. Think about the final battles in all the Spider-Man movies. What do they have in common? That's right, it's always just Spider-Man and his enemy, sometimes his love interest, but never spectators. While the stakes often involve other people's lives, those people aren't physically present on the battlefield. This is crucial because it makes the final showdown much more personal. It's just the hero and his enemy. When onlookers are present, treating the fight like a free show, the personal drama gets diluted. The audience is separated from the characters by a layer of random spectators. This isn't just true for Spider-Man movies. Think about Tony and Steve fight in Civil War, Steve and Bucky in Winter Soldier, Luke and Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi, or Spider-Man and Otto in the Marvel Spider-Man. Any memorable emotional final battle you can think of doesn't have spectators in the frame. So Spider-Man 3 should have had a more intimate final battle. If Harry had been the main villain, this intimacy would have been essential. Explosions and special effects are cool, but they can't replace genuine emotion.
I forgive you.
Well, it's no secret that the love story was one of the most important themes in Sam Raimi's trilogy. It was a major focus in both the first and second films, and it's also no surprise that Peter Parker in Raimi's trilogy is a decent, strong person who found the strength to refuse the love of his life when she was so close. He chose to put his happiness aside to fight for the safety of others. As I have mentioned multiple times in this video, Spider-Man 3 is about Peter Parker's fall. But you know what? This scene still shocks me. I don't know what made the writers decide to make Peter act this way, but it's just terrible. They turned him into a jerk, making it hard to sympathize with him after this scene. Why did he act like that? The first thing that comes to mind is being overwhelmed by success. He felt like on the top of the world. But the problem is that Sam Raimi's Peter Parker would never behave like that. It just wasn't him. And yet, the idea behind this scene is brilliant. Peter Parker destroyed the symbol of his relationship with Mary Jane. That's incredibly powerful, and it could have stayed in the film. It would have even worked if Peter kissed Gwen under the symbiote's influence. The symbiote would have brought out the worst in Peter, stealing their kiss. Overall, the writers did a great job setting up the crisis in Peter and Mary Jane's relationship. One is on top, the other at the bottom. Peter's actions, like this kiss and his subsequent flirting with Gwen, led to conflict. But again, all this should have happened under the influence of the black suit, not because Peter Parker turned from a decent guy into a pig. The black suit's destructive impact on Peter's personality would have felt much more natural and powerful. It would have slowly taken away everything Peter valued and loved, making him believe it was all justified and right. Even the jazz club scene. If you cut out the ridiculous parts of Peter's antics, it's a powerful moment. It's sad that the writers, having created genuinely strong and cool moments, used them incorrectly. It's incredibly sad that Sam Raimi ended his trilogy on such a note. Spider-Man 3 had the potential to be the best film in the trilogy. The creators had everything for it. A new unique perspective on the hero, personal conflicts already set up at the beginning, a personal villain already developed by the start, and another villain, perfect for exploring the hero's downfall. The first hints of the Dream movie appeared in 2004 after the sequel. Many crucial elements were ready even before work on the third movie began, but unfortunately, the producers wanted to sell toys. It's hard to blame Sam Raimi for the failure. Yes, the version that hit theaters in May 2007 wasn't the best that could have been made with the material available. As we learned later, many strong and important moments were cut from the film, which could have improved things a bit. But Spider-Man 3 had no chance after Venom was added as the third villain. Sam Raimi then spent 2 whole years preparing to create what he called the best Spider-Man movie, which never saw the light of day. Spider-Man 3 will remain in our hearts as a vivid symbol of how, even with everything set for success, you can still lose it all. And we guys do not say goodbye.